don't want to miss this at all. And while I'm also recording, and this is here, I need to make sure that I give control to my dear friend and mentor, Mr. Veney Cochran, the author of The Leader in You, 7 Steps to Unlocking Your Potential. Now, a lot of people sometimes when I say this man is my favorite human being on planet Earth, they kind of got to take back because they know how much I love my wife. And they might say, well, that should be the title for your wife. Well, for those of you that are out there, let me illuminate to you the peculiar situation which you may have found your ears and yourself in when it comes to this gentleman. Because without clarity, you cannot focus in life. And what is very clear to me is without having this gentleman in my life, let me slow down for a second. When I was actually sitting down, contemplating killing myself, this was the gentleman through his actions and leadership and his wife, while serving 30 years in the Marine Corps, learned to lead himself. And by example, here's what happens when the best leader leaves any situation. Most people always say this: I did it myself. You know why they say that? Because that leader was so good, they did not tell them what to do. They only led by example, and by inference, that person believed that they themselves came up with it, and all they had was nothing but a great example on how to live life, how to love, how to do all those things. So this man and his wife has been married for more than 2 decades, and he has led for over 3 decades. And when I was about to take myself off of planet Earth, the main reason why he's my favorite person in the world is this: he led me to understand and know my own true value and power of myself. If he had never helped me save my life, there wouldn't have been an honor, there wouldn't have been a miracle, there wouldn't have been a day like today. So for my favorite person on the planet Earth, I get to say, you know what? The reason, because of my wife, if he had never started his business and where he had the opportunity to mentor me, I would have never met my wife. Why? Because the first day she stepped on the playing field in network marketing, she met this guy. And it was all because of this gentleman, 30 years of leadership experience working with presidents, taking men and women out of combat and bringing them home, from the boardroom to the Zoom room today, ladies and gentlemen, helping you all, helped me over years, none other than my favorite person on the planet and mentor, Mr. Veney Cochran. Welcome, sir. Take it away. God bless you, and I love you.
Again, thank you, Obam, for that amazing introduction. I'm sitting here now trying to figure out how am I going to deliver based off of all the things that you just said. Again, I'm completely thrilled, honored, and blessed to be in this position where I can just simply share some information over my many years of military experience, years in the business arena. And before I get started, obviously, I'll give you a little bit more background. As he said, I was able and fortunate enough to serve a little more than 30 years in the United States Marine Corps, travel all over the world, in and out of combat situations, get to speak with all kinds of individuals from young 18-year-olds, to 2, 3, and 4-star generals throughout my time in. And one of the things that I realized the most throughout my experience is a lot of individuals are out there searching for different things to make them better, to get them to the next step in life. But I think the one thing that most people truly overlook is the ability to lead themselves. They're always looking for that additional person, which is good. It's always good to go find that mentor, somebody who's been there, done that. And as we say in the Marine Corps, they have the t-shirts to prove it. But again, none of that is going to matter if you're not able to lead yourself through all the information that these individuals are sharing, the knowledge that they're providing. And those are some of the things that we're going to talk about today. As Obama said, thanks to him and his wife being as gracious as they are, I'm really in a position now to do the things that I'm doing. He says, and he talks about how, it was because of me and my wife of why he's still here today. And, to this day, I don't even know if I can really, truly 100% accept that because at the end, he still had to make a decision. I simply provided him with some information without even knowing the situation that he was in. But ultimately, just like my book talks about, he actually led himself out of that situation by simply being open to new information. And that's what we're going to be talking about briefly here today. I'm not going to get into all the chapters in my book because literally, even though my book is a very small book, I could literally talk hours on each and every subject in the book. But I am going to hit on a few topics in the book that I think should help individuals on whatever journey that you're on. And for those of you that were on the live session yesterday with Robert Raymond Riopol, can you please raise your hands if you're live on camera? Was that not an amazing edutainment that he gave us yesterday? Mm-hmm. Right? And with that said, I'm really going to just elaborate a little bit more on the things that he said. And just like Robert, I'm hoping that this can be as interactive as possible. So if you're able to get on screen, by all means, please do, because there are going to be some things that I am going to be asking you to do, raising your hands, things of that nature. Because again, I don't believe in teaching anybody anything, and I have a favorite saying, a quote by Socrates, which actually says that I cannot teach anybody anything. I can only make them think. And that's what this entire hour is really about. It's really about getting you to open your minds just a little bit more and think either a little bit clearer than you were or just a little bit different than you were, so that it can help you achieve the things that you want to do. And first thing we're going to talk about is, just like Robert talked about yesterday, is mindset. Because again, mindset is that one thing that you have complete control of once you figure out how your mind actually works. And what I've come up with, and there are many theories out there, but the thing I've come up with is there's two different types of mindsets. Right? There's what individuals consider the fixed mindset, and then the flip side of that is the growth mindset. And Robert talked a little bit about that yesterday. All right, so what exactly is the difference between the two? So those of you that are on screen, if you have some certain things in your mind that without a doubt is not going to change, regardless of what anybody tells you, your mind is already made up on that particular subject. If there's something that's rolling around in your mind right now where you have a fixed mindset on something, raise your hands and let me see who you are. I'm sure there's some, I still have some of that in my repertoire as well. I think we all do. Right? It's those things or those beliefs that some individuals think that, athletes like Michael Jordan and Tiger Woods are just simply gifted at what they do. They have a mindset that no matter what they do, they will never, ever, ever be able to be as good as a Tiger Woods or a Michael Jordan. Those are individuals with fixed mindsets, and we all, somewhere in our lives, have those same thoughts that creep up on us. And to be honest with you, I believe those are the things that are truly holding us back from truly getting to where we can actually be in our lives. And that's what leads us to the second part of that. And that's the growth mindset. That's the ability to simply just open up your mind, open up your thoughts, with the understanding that regardless of what you're thinking now, if you simply allow new information to actually come to you, absorb the information, that possibly your belief, the things that you thought about, can actually change. Right? And that is a powerful thing, because some individuals look at that as a negative. If you've ever, especially in politics, and I know I really don't want to talk about politics, but we have a lot of individuals out there where they hear politicians say one thing, and then several months or a year down the road, they'll say something totally different. And everyone will attack that politician because they say that politician is flip-floppy or wish-washy or something like that. And that could very well be the case. But the thing that could also be making that individual change his mind is that he or she is actually walking into a situation with a growth mindset, meaning that they had a belief, an idea, or a thought about something, but when they received new information, they were able to then change their outlook on things. And that's how we get things done, in the countries around the world, by individuals changing their thought process. Just imagine what any of our lives would be if the individuals in charge of our governments simply only had one way of thinking, right? And they never changed their thought process or never allowed those that work with them closely to help them change their thought process. Because again, you have to be willing and open to receive information so that you have the ability to make an informed decision on what your new response is actually going to be. And again, that's the main difference between that fixed mindset and that growth mindset. With the growth mindset, think about it this way. How many of you actually believe that you can be good at anything? Right? See, we got some very open-minded, growth-seeking individuals, because I truly believe you have the ability to be good and the best at anything you actually desire to be. But again, the thing that's holding us all back is some of us have those little quirks, those little fixed mindsets that you convince yourself that you can't do certain things. There's also a saying out there that I know you all heard is practice makes perfect. How many of you heard that before? Right, that practice actually makes perfect. There's a lot more to that statement, right? Because practice actually doesn't make perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect. You take an individual like Tiger Woods, he wasn't always as great as he is, right? If Tiger Woods would have went out and practiced every day, swinging the golf club the wrong way, he could have practiced and practiced and practiced and practiced and never gotten any better at the sport that he became so great at. All right, he got great because he practiced perfect each and every day. And every day might not have been as perfect as it could have been, but it was perfect for that particular day. And he built on that day in and day out. And that's all we have to do. All right, we have to learn how to build on the things that we know are great, or build on the information from great individuals. Again, I wasn't able to get to the highest ranks in the military, on my own accord by no stretch of the imagination. I did a lot of things wrong. In some places I went up and down the rank structure, meaning I lost rank, at a time. As a matter of fact, I lost 2 ranks at one given time, all right? All because I made a decision that wasn't, as they say, in keeping with the traditions of the Marine Corps. All right, but I still believe, even with those setbacks, that I had the ability, just like all of those individuals before me, had the ability to go to the highest enlisted rank in the Marine Corps. And there were individuals that told me I couldn't do it, that I would never achieve those ranks. All right, why? Because there was something within themselves that told them that they couldn't, right? Had I built into their beliefs, I wouldn't have been able to accomplish the things I was able to accomplish and been able to affect some of the individuals that I've been able to affect. The individuals like, Dr. Obama Bowen. As he said, we have a long, long history, where, as he said, I was that mentor of his, but now I'm happily, and proud to say that, not only are we friends, not only am I the godfather to their daughter Miracle, all right, but now he is a mentor of mine. I was able to look past, have an open mind, a growth mindset, and understand that they have information, they have things that they've done and accomplished that I wanted to accomplish. And although at one point I was the teacher, so to speak, I was quickly able to humble myself in order to learn from that man and that woman, to be a better version of what I want to be. And that's all I'm saying about the growth mindset. You have to be able to open your mind and let individuals in that normally most of society would not let in. All right. And that's what the growth mindset is really all about. Switching gears just a little bit, talk about beliefs, right? Which is another, in my opinion, another very powerful thing when it comes to leadership and leading yourself in and out or through anything. It's your belief, just as we talked about with the growth mindset, because that's a part of it. It's your belief and whether you can actually do it. Henry Ford once said, whether you believe you can or believe you can't, you're absolutely right. So I want everybody to actually think about that right now, right? Whether you believe you can or you believe you can't, you are absolutely right. Meaning that, again, anything you want to do or anything you want to accomplish, at the end of the day, regardless of the struggles you may face, regardless of the hurdles that may be out there, the individuals that you feel may be stepping on you, trying to prevent you from doing it, at the end of the day, it's all up to you. So if you're not where you want to be in life right now, really all you have to do is take a look in the mirror. I'm sure we have a very diverse group of individuals, on this Zoom and possibly watching on Facebook, but I'm sure you can all agree that at the end of the day, you're not going to do anything you don't want to do, regardless of the situation that you're put in. We all have a moral thermometer somewhere within our bodies. All right. Some of them we allow to take to, different levels before we back down. And some of us, we're just not going to do anything that we don't want to do. All right. And that all comes down to what our actual beliefs are. Robert kind of touched on this yesterday, and I have a similar saying when he talked about things going around in the circle. And when it comes to beliefs, you have to understand they're either going to enable you or they're going to limit you, right? And your beliefs actually shape your potential, which actually triggers specific actions that lead to results. And I'm going to try, hopefully it doesn't get screwed up here. I'm going to try to throw something up on the screen here that I hope you can see. Can you all see my screen? Because I can't see any of you. Can you see that?
Says
It's coming up, Vinny.
it's coming up.
Okay, because as it's coming up again, what I'll tell you again is, when we're talking about our beliefs, and the cycle of beliefs is nothing more than, again, our beliefs is based off the amount of belief you have, which determines the amount of potential you can tap into, right? And that potential equates to the amount of potential you tap into determines the amount of action you take, and the amount of action you take determines the results you get. And that cycle continues over and over and over. So again, if you're not getting the actual results that you want, then you have to go back and look at your actual belief. I'm assuming that picture didn't come up.
No.
No problem. Let me, because I can't see anyone right now. 1 second here.
I'll put it on gallery view for now. There. We can hear you though. So for live, I'm going to jump off for a bit to help here in the technical difficulty realm. So we'll be back. If you'd like to, Mr. Cochran, definitely you can send the pictures to me and continue going. I'll share it from my screen, but you can go back to stop sharing and then continue. There. Okay, so I think Vinny's screen is frozen at the moment, like the movie. And for now, we have to let it go. So I see you, Carrie. Let it go. Let it go. So let's do this. See if I can get his screen off from sharing. We'll stop other. Yes, there. And Just going to go to my screen there for a second so I could stop sharing for Veney.
Okay, I think.
Veney, can you hear me? Okay, so you were gone for a second. You can stop sharing. There you go.
Yeah, my screen went completely blank for a second.
It did. So we can see and hear you now again.
Okay, awesome. All right, so again, going back to beliefs, I'm not even going to try to pull those pictures up again, make sure that we don't get cut off. But again, as we go back into speaking about the beliefs and, how your beliefs actually shape your potential, which triggers your specific actions that actually create the results that you're going to get. Again, I want you to think of all those things that you might be working on accomplishing right now, trying to figure out. The question that, again, I want you to really ask yourself is, how much do you really believe in it? How much have you, for those who are very spiritual and, believing that there's a higher being out there, how many of you prayed for it? If you prayed for something specific, that you want in your life, a way to accomplish a specific goal, if you prayed for something, raise your hand. I'm sure we all have. The question I have for you is, how many times have you prayed for it? If you prayed for it more than once, raise your hand. Right? So again, what I truly want you to think about is, and again, this may be a little deep for some individuals, but again, this goes back to belief, which in my opinion is just another way of saying faith. And if you've already put it out there so that one person that you believe can bring it to you, and you prayed for it, and in some cases you begged for it, why are you doing it a second time? Because if you truly believed and you truly had faith when you asked that first time, you wouldn't have to go back and ask again. But we all find ourselves doing that. And we find ourselves doing that because at the core of it all, when we're asking for things of ourselves, or when we're asking for things from other individuals, especially, to my God, a lot of us, really don't get down into that belief or that faith that we really talk about. And that's, again, what I really want you to hone in on is your belief in yourself, your belief in your higher spiritual being. Because, again, all you have to do is ask that one time and then do the work to make sure that it gets done. I was able to get on a call yesterday from a good friend and mentor of mine, Ambassador Dr. Clyde Rivers, and he kind of nailed this point also, because he calls when you put out that prayer, you have that belief, he calls taking it and putting that in a place called done. That's when you take whatever it is that you asked for and you simply take it and you put it in that box and you consider it done. And you just continue on doing all the things that you've been doing in order to get to the place you want to be. Because the minute you ask for it, because of your belief and your faith, is the minute that he is going to make sure that the universe starts working to help you accomplish it. But again, if you keep going back day after day, praying for the same thing over and over, all right, now you're telling him you have doubt on whether or not you actually believe he is going to make it happen. So again, the belief is not only in yourself, the belief is in, again, our higher being who put us all here to live a life of abundance in the first place. Again, take that information and, as Dr. Rivers says, put it in a place called done and let it work itself out in the end. Because I'm sure all of you have been in places where you have prayed or you have believed that something good was going to happen. And that something good came when you least expected it. All right, because you had put it out there and didn't keep going back to it, but you kept taking the steps to go towards your goal. Now, with that being said, all the individuals that are on here live looking at me as I'm looking at you, all right, take your hands and clasp your hands together. Now look at your thumbs. Now, if you have your left thumb draped over your right thumb, raise your hand. All right, a few out there. Those are all the sexy people out there. If you have your left thumb draped over your right thumb, those are all the sexy people out there. Those with your right thumb draped over your left thumb, raise your hand. All right, again, a few out there. Those are all those smart and intelligent people. Those thinkers already have that growth mindset. But there's a third group out there. If you're out there and both of your thumbs are side by side, and I'm sure there's got to be at least one, raise your hand. There's no one out there that I can see, but I'm sure there's others out there. And those are the individuals that simply believe that they're both sexy and they are smart. Again, it's all about how you think about things. And that had absolutely nothing to do with what we're talking about. But again, it's about us having fun on these Zooms. And again, we're not here to teach you anything. We're just here to help you think in a certain way. And so what I'm going to do now is briefly jump into a couple of things that I believe can help you shift the way you believe in certain things, because there are three main areas I believe that can help you change the way you believe about certain things. All right, and they all revolve around self-belief. And our self-belief are those things that really determine what action that we're actually going to take on certain things. And the first self-belief that actually controls anything is the self-belief of control. When I'm talking about that, what I mean is, what level of control do you feel that you have on your own life? And that's a deep question for a lot of people. You know, what level of control do you actually believe you have on your own life? Some individuals feel that they have no control, right? Because they may be working for somebody who they feel controls them. They may be in situations that they feel are controlling them. All right, but ultimately, again, you actually control everything you do. Again, it just goes back to the point of your belief level or your self-belief in how much control of your life you actually have. The second self-belief that kind of dictates where we're going to end up at is our self-belief on value. And when I'm talking about value, I'm talking about the value you place on a given task will ultimately determine the amount of effort you put into that task. All right, so what exactly am I talking about with that? I'll give you an example. All right, how many runners do we have out there? If you're a runner, raise your hand. We have a few. How many of you ever ran a marathon, a 26.2 mile marathon? And some of you are looking at me like you will never run a marathon, right? So if I told you that you're going to go out there and run a marathon for charity or something like that, and you agree because it's for a great charity, chances are you'll go out there and run, but the chances of you actually completing that run are slim to none. All right, because your belief in what you are doing is not as great as it can be. Your belief in why you are doing it may be great, but your belief in what you are doing might not be as great as it can be. So the effort that you're going to put into that run is not going to be as much as it can be. But if we flip the script just a little bit, and I told you that if you just made it across the finish line in a certain amount of time, nothing that's going to physically kill you, if you made it across the finish line in a certain amount of time and I was going to give you $100,000, do you think your level of effort would be just a little bit more? If you believe that, raise your hands. All right, if you were going to get $100,000 for running that same 26.2 miles, all right, why? Because there was some value attached to it, right? It might have been just a monetary value. For some, it might be something else. Again, it just goes back to, you know, what is the value you're going to put on whatever it is that's going to drive you to put forth the effort that you need to make things happen in your life. You have to identify what those things are and what you are willing to do in order to accomplish those things. You know, there's been, I guess I won't say stories, but there have been things written about where mothers weighing no more than 110 pounds have lifted cars to save their children. Not because they had this superhuman strength, is because in that particular moment in time, there was a great value placed on what they needed to accomplish. And therefore the effort was that much greater. They didn't sit there and question whether or not they could do it. At that particular moment, they simply believed and knew that they had to do it. All right, so that situation created extreme value for what they wanted to do. And that's what I've been doing for the last 30 plus years with my Marines. All right, it's really just trying to find what they value the most. As they talk about, we are all given 2 ears and 1 mouth, all right, so that we can listen just a little bit more than we actually talk. And as you listen more to individuals, you'll know what their values are, what they're going to be willing to work hard for, and those are the buttons that you have to push. I've been in situations individuals all across the country and see what are the different values that determine how much effort they're going to put into it. I've had individuals tell me over and over, they made the wrong decision coming to boot camp and they wanted to quit. How many of you wanted to quit something before once you got started and you felt that it was just the wrong decision? Again, we all have, all right? But again, if you can just hit the right buttons on those individuals and show them what the value is that they can get out of it, all right, then you can basically get individuals to do things that they normally wouldn't want to do, all right? And again, that's where leading yourself comes into play. Because it's not about me motivating anybody to do something, yelling and screaming at them, having them fear me because of the position that I'm in. It's really about inspiring them to become their best selves in any given situation. And again, I've been through a lot of crazy situations, as I'm sure a lot of you have been. And it doesn't take a combat situation for you to have been in some very, very serious situations, right? For you mothers that are out there, just being a mother is a serious situation, right? Because of the things you have to deal with on a day-to-day basis, even when your kids are gone and out of the house, you're dealing with them, right? And it's the effort you put in those things is because of how you value your children, right? The third thing is the competency. And I'm talking about the competency of whether you measure up to a certain standard, again, based off your belief. How confident in your competency do you feel about making X sum of money? A lot of us can go out there and say, we want to make $1 million in this year. But how do you really feel about yourself and the skill that you are putting out there? How competent do you believe that you are with that skill that you can actually accomplish that particular goal? Again, the only way to get the answer is to look in the mirror at yourself, right? And ask yourself those simple questions. Who am I really? What do I really have to offer? Pull that information out of yourself, because I can't bring it out of you. Dr. O can't bring it out of you. Fasana can't bring that information out of you. We can only help you bring that information out of yourself. We all have led ourselves through tons of different things, right? Tons of different things. There may have been people along the way, and there will always be individuals along the way to help you. But again, there's always going to be 2 tracks that you can take. There's going to be the right path and there's going to be the wrong path. But at the end of the day, we are all going to get to the same destination that we are supposed to be on in the first place. The question is, how soon are you going to get there to be able to enjoy that moment in time where you know that you are truly walking and working in your purpose, that thing that you were actually put here to do. which is not necessarily even about you, which I think is where a lot of individuals get mixed up in. That thing may be about somebody else, may be about an entire new generation that you were actually put here for. And they say that, the most important times in our lives is not the day that we were born, but it's the day that we discover why we were born. Because we all have a definitive purpose of why we were put here, right? All to accomplish a specific task and a goal. Again, in my own humble opinion, by a higher being, regardless of what it is that you believe in. Right? You were put here to accomplish and do one specific thing. Now, along the way, you're going to do a whole lot of other amazing things. Right? But in order to do that, again, you have to learn how to lead yourself, how to take the good information and the bad information and figure out how it's going to help you get to where you are actually going. And at the end of the day, the one thing that it truly boils down to is the one chapter in my book that I think I put some of the most emphasis on, and that's your attitude. Right? Your attitude is the thing that will get you through just about anything. Mindset is great. Your belief in whatever it is that you're doing, especially in yourself, is great. But without the right attitude, none of that means anything. All right, none of that means anything. And I can honestly say that in the last, I would say, 15 years or so, I don't literally think I really had a bad day. Now, some of you are probably looking at me like I'm crazy, all right, because in those last 15 years, I've been in combat zones. I've had family members pass away. I've had family members be sick. I've had friends that have passed away, and all those things are horrible, and they took a toll on me, all right? But that doesn't mean that you still cannot have a wonderful attitude through everything, because your attitude is going to dictate, everything that you do from that point forward. Everything that happens in life is a teachable moment. And that's the one thing that you have to understand. It is a teachable moment, everything that happens. The only thing that you have to do is figure out what lesson you were supposed to learn during that particular situation. Right? Those of you who have went through some very bad situations, I can assure you, you've learned some very valuable lessons. Right? And they didn't kill you, you're still here. Right? It made you a stronger person. Right? And hopefully it gave you a better attitude and a better outlook on life. Are there going to be some more bad situations that's going to come? Absolutely. All right. But how you wake up in the morning, again, is going to determine, how your days are going to be. I make a conscious decision every morning to wake up happy. All right. It doesn't matter if I went to bed thinking about something that I probably shouldn't have been thinking about, because I try to go to bed as happy as I can be. But I'm human. Some things creep in your mind. All right, but I make sure that when I wake up, before my feet hit the ground, I'm grateful. I am very grateful that my feet hit the ground. And that leads into 7 steps that I believe can help you have a better attitude each and every day. And I feel these are very important. And the first one is to simply breathe. We all get in those tough situations and we just want to spit some things out. We just want to say some things. If you were like me back in my younger days, all I wanted to do was swing and hit something, right? But what I've learned, especially in the Marine Corps, because sometimes it can get very political, is sometimes you just have to sit back and take a breath. Clear your head, clear your mind, clear your thoughts, all right? And let the answer that you are looking for come to you. It's going to come to you, all right? If you open your mind, have that growth mindset, have that belief that we talked about, all right? And be ready to accept that what you want is going to come to you. All right, simply all you have to do is breathe. The second one is checking your thoughts, right? Checking the things that you think about. As I said before, I try to go to bed each night, with a smile on my face and happy. But unfortunately, again, some things do happen, all right? And right before you go to sleep, you might have a bad thought, all right? You don't want those things lingering, in your mind throughout the day. If you're having thoughts about certain things, you don't want to cloud your mind with the negative. We're in a situation right now all over the world where we're being bombarded with negativity, right, because of COVID-19, right? CNN, what I refer to as constant negative news, all right? If you listen to that and you let those things play out in your head over and over and over, it's going to affect your attitude in a negative way, right? You have to check your thoughts based off the information that you're allowing to come inside your mind. The third thing, and we kind of already talked about it, is being grateful, right? Being grateful for everything that you already have. Some individuals are driving around in beat up vehicles, right? And they're complaining about it all day long, all right? Wishing, wanting, and praying for that new vehicle or means to get that new vehicle without stopping and realizing that they still get to point A to point B in that beat up vehicle that they actually have, right? They're forgetting to be grateful. And the minute you stop being grateful is the minute you're going to cut yourself off from the blessings that are already waiting out there for you. Right? You have to be grateful for what you have. And again, I tried to teach that to my young Marines, right, that were in some of the worst situations that we could have possibly been in, all right, because it always could have been worse. All right, it could have been 10,000 times worse because some of our friends and family in the military didn't make it out of certain situations. All right, so to sit there and complain about the 130-degree temperatures that we were in, the sub-0 degree temperatures that we were in, the 36-hour days, the 48-hour days, and complaining about that, I always had them go back and think about the individuals that weren't even there alive to be able to be in that moment. Again, you have to be grateful for the moment that you are in at any given time. And the fourth thing is visualize everything you want. All right, visualize everything you want in your life for the entire day. When I wake up in the morning, I am already thinking about how my day is going to go. I don't necessarily have to plan out the entire day, all right? But I will plan out and visualize how I want to feel at the end of the day. Again, I want to be happy. I want to be grateful. So what steps am I going to take throughout the day just to make sure that my end result happens? And again, a lot of people worry so much on all the things that they feel that they have to do throughout the day. But if you simply focus on the end goal, all the things that you need to do throughout the day will start to come naturally because you have to visualize it. You have to be able to feel what it is that you want. All right, seeing it is one thing, but anything that you can see has a feeling tied to it. It has an emotion tied to it. So it's not the thing you see is what you want. It's the feeling that you want to have from that thing. So again, when you wake up in the morning, be grateful and visualize the thing that you want and also encompass the feeling of that thing. If you wake up in the morning all upset, all angry at the world for what happened yesterday, right, that's all you're going to be thinking about all day. And trust me, you're going to go to sleep the exact same way. All right, so start visualizing exactly what it is that you want and then focus on the present. All right, too many times I feel we get wrapped around things that don't matter. The yesterdays. Yesterday is gone. It's a memory that you can go back and kind of tap into, all right, but you can't go back and affect it. So why worry about what happened yesterday? Just simply focus on the present. While you're on this call, this Zoom, this Facebook Live, or whatever it is, focus on what's going on right now. You don't even need to focus on what's going on tomorrow because, again, we don't know if we're going to be here tomorrow. So why not just be happy, grateful in where you are right now? Again, if you start focusing on those good things, because every time that you're in the present and you're focusing on the present, it's always a good thing because, number one, you're taking a breath. You know, whether you're taking it on your own or you're being assisted in taking that breath, you are taking that breath and it's a good thing. All right, and all you have to do is focus on where you are in that present time. The sixth thing is losing track of time, what I call flow. Get into your flow where, again, as you're in that present, as you're working on doing whatever it is that you're doing, you become so engrossed in it that you forget about everything else. You're blocking out all the noise. You know, all those things that are distractions to you, all that negativity out there that can come from anybody. You know, it can come from, and sometimes it comes from those you love and trust the most, right? That negativity. And sometimes you got to block it all out. You have to learn how to flow in your present, right? And be the person you know you need to be and want to be at that specific time in your life. And it leads right into the seventh and final one, which is turn off the noise, as we've already talked about. You know, a lot of us wake up in the morning and we use the excuse of being business-minded or the fact that we are so important at our jobs, or, you know, we have to do so many different things for family members that one of the first things that most people do is they grab their phones in the morning, right? And they become reactive throughout the day because the first thing they did was grab a tool that is really nothing but noise, right? It causes you to react day in and day out. You turn on the TV, you start listening to the news, or you turn on, you know, your favorite talk show or your favorite reality show, and in these days, they're all nothing but noise, right? And that's how you go on throughout your day, putting in all that negative information instead of, again, going back to 5 and 6, focusing on the present and learning how to flow in that very moment where you are. You know, taking in the information that you need. Have some quiet time for yourself in the morning. Read a book. You know, talk to your spouse, talk to a friend, someone who's going to inspire you to do the things that you actually want to do and to actually accomplish in your lifetime, right? Instead of being inundated with all this negativity about how scared we should be in society right now. You know, if COVID-19 is going to come and take you, COVID-19 is going to come and take you, right? Don't consume yourself with thoughts about it because you're just opening up the door for it to happen, right? And with the way things are going, there's no telling if you will have it or not when you walk into a hospital because they're going to tell you what they want to tell you in the first place. And again, I'm not going to get on that political tangent about COVID-19, but understand the things you think about most are the things that you're going to bring into fruition into your life. And it's all about your mindset, your beliefs, and your attitude primarily. There's always going to be a lot of other things out there that contribute to you truly leading yourself in and out of anything. But those three things are, I think, three pillars that can hold up that foundation to help you get on the right path to where you're going. And one of the last things I want to talk about, and before I actually get into that portion, which is inspiration, before I even get into that, give you a short saying that I read about a long time ago. And it simply says that a bird sitting on a tree is not afraid of the branch breaking. And you have to ask yourself, why is that? Because the trust of that bird is not in the branch. The trust of the bird is in that bird's own wings. And that's the same way you have to look at life, right? You're stepping on branches each and every day, right? You have things that you believe are holding you up each and every day. But the reality is you're standing on your own 2 feet, right? You're putting one foot in front of the other. And there may be individuals who don't even have the ability to do that, right? But they still have the ability to lead themselves, right? Again, don't worry about the branch you're sitting on breaking, right? Flap your wings because we were all born with them, right? The minute we were born, we were given wings to fly. All you have to figure out is where you're going to fly to and who are you going to wrap your wings around to help them get to where they're going to be. And that leads into the last thing I'm going to talk about briefly, and that's being an inspiration to whoever it can be, but more so being an inspiration to yourself. And a couple of weeks ago, I was just jotting down some notes, and because of my Marine Corps background, you know, we come up with all kinds of acronyms for things, right? And I happen to come up with an acronym for INSPIRE, and I'm going to read it to you. Which simply means intellectually navigating your senses while performing instant rejuvenation to your emotions. That's what it simply means to inspire an individual or to inspire yourself. Again, intellectually navigating your senses while performing instant rejuvenation to your emotions. And that's what it means to inspire. And we all have the ability to do that because we are all intellectual beings, right? We didn't get to where we are right now because of the education we had in school. It may have helped us, but we didn't get to the points that we are because of those teachings in school. We got here because of the intellect that we were born with. Right? And we all have learned how to navigate throughout our journeys in life. And again, we're all going to get to the same point because none of us are getting out of this journey alive. There's going to come a day where we're all going to take our last breath, right? How do you want to look back at your journey, right? How do you want to remember your journey? How do you want others to remember your journey? Because at the end of the day, on your tombstone, it's simply going to read your name, probably a little bit about your background, whether you were a mother, a brother, whether you served in the military, and it's going to have the date and year you were born, the date and year that you left us. And in between, there's going to be that dash. The most important thing on that tombstone is that dash. What are the things that you did and accomplished and the individuals that you helped along your journey from the day you were born to the day you left us? And it doesn't matter how long or how short a period of time it was. It all comes down to how are you going to lead yourself from point A to point B to accomplish the things that you want to accomplish in life and help as many people along the way. Because at the end of the day, it's not all about you. It's never been all about me. It's always been about someone else. And sometimes that can be to a detriment if we don't have the right guidance as we're going through that. So with that said, again, I could have went on and on for hours on each different subject. I just wanted to hit on those three things specifically: mindset, beliefs, and attitudes, and just tie a little bit of inspiration into it. But at the end of the day, whatever answers you are truly looking for to help you be more, do more, and become more, the only place that you truly have to look is within yourself. And with that being said, I'm going to open it up to any questions that anyone has. Turn it over to my good friend and mentor, business partner, Dr. Obam Bowen, and say thank you all for allowing me to share this time and this message with each and every one of you.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Mr. Veney Cochran. Surprise, it's Mrs. Bowen.
Thank you, thank you.
Well, I really, really enjoyed listening to you today. And I know we want to open it up to any questions. We can take a few questions since we still have Mr. Veney Cochran here. So anybody have any questions, just go ahead and unmute yourself and go ahead and ask.
Hi, Dana here. Thank you, Veney.
Hey, Dana, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. I loved your big vulnerability share on success in the past. Sometimes we take a step forward and a couple back. I really appreciated you sharing that from your marine experience. Would you please share with us how you did that when you were traversing forward, backwards? A couple times you were knocked down a couple of pegs. You shared that, and you didn't have encouragement of people that you could ascend again. How did you keep going after achieving a level of success and then taking a couple of steps back? How did you power up and move forward and ascend?
Okay, and thank you for that question, Dana. And it's a great question. And I can tell you, it really all came down to a belief that I have. And that belief is simply that the greatest revenge that you can have on anyone or anything is massive success. And when I was knocked down, especially in the Marine Corps, and I had individuals tell me that I could never achieve certain things. And as I said, I was demoted actually 2 ranks for some things that I did, some poor decisions. But because of that thought process and wanting to prove them wrong, that's what enabled me to step forward. Again, reach out to individuals I knew could help me, learn from them, and then continue to push forward, not worrying about, again, the noise that was out there, because there's always going to be haters. And haters are just out there to let you know that you are doing the right thing.
That is so true. Any other questions? Great question, Dana. Carrie, go ahead and unmute yourself, love.
Did that work?
Yes.
Okay, Veney, thank you so much. That was inspiring. And I just have to say, I'm a total military brat, Marines, Navy, all of it. I have never heard anybody, I want to share this with everybody else in the room, I have never heard anybody with your stature and experience, and you know, I've just never heard anybody talk about their demotions. And so you really touched my heart, because you caught my attention a little bit deeper, because a lot of times people get on and they've served, and I'm speaking from my own family experience. I got 5 brothers. Sometimes the military ego comes home on leave instead of the wisdom. And your wisdom is right in front and in this room with all of us. And I could feel it. I could resonate with it. So that brings me to my question. I speak on manifestation. I believe in visualization. I coach people. I have visual boards all over my world. And I often get up on stage and ask to be the participatory speaker that gets the audience to feel and resonate with what it is that they believe in, so that they can receive it. I have never heard a masculine, grown leader man talk about feeling the emotion, feeling it. And I'm writing all these notes going, he's feeling. So I teach that all the time, but I want to know, for everybody in this room, when you're feeling that manifestation and you're feeling that you have that abundance in your life, as we're growing these teams with Asira, and we want people to feel that abundance, feel this family here growing. Can you explain to me, really, where do you go? Do you do that in a manifestation space? Are you in bed before your feet hit the floor? Are you driving around feeling happy? I want to know, really, if you can share with us just a little deeper what that feeling is for you.
And again, I literally tap into a lot of different things, and it really comes down to being grateful. I tap into, and I have a lot of feelings, so that's why I guess sometimes they resonate. And I always go back to my grandmother. My grandmother practically, well, I'm not gonna say practically, my grandmother raised myself, and my 4 brothers and sisters. My mom and dad was always in the picture, but she primarily raised us all. And I was raised in the church. I was forced to go to church, so I really didn't like it when I was going, but I understood it. And I got the message, even though I didn't know I was getting the message. And sometimes when I speak, some individuals say, I have a little preacher in me that comes out.
Yes, he does.
I think that comes from, all of those times in church. But the feelings and emotions that I go to is something that's very near and dear to me. Is my son was born in 1992. And of course, your life changes when your son is born. But I was on my way from Virginia to New York, where my family lived, to show my family our son. And on the way, driving to our house in New York, my grandmother passed away. And she passed away in church, the place that she loved and cherished. And she never got to meet my son. And he never got to see what I consider the strongest woman that ever walked the face of the earth. So when I'm ever in a situation where I need to dig deep and know why I'm put here, I always go back to that time, because for a long time, I didn't even go into a church after that happened. I fought off because I asked myself, how could a woman who believes so much in God, how could he take her in church? So I was angry and I stayed away from church. But again, I had to lead myself out of that. And the way I led myself out of that is I volunteered to lead the burial detail in the military. So then I was around that death. I was around those individuals that were experiencing the same things that I experienced. And those are the places that I go to, when somebody is trying to step on me, hold me down, and, really just go all out in a sense. I go back to, again, my grandmother. I go back to my mother who passed away of cancer after beating 4 different forms of cancer. So I am an emotional person because that's who I am. The military didn't change that. I just used the military experience and my emotions and feelings to hopefully help individuals. And Carrie, I thank you so much for asking that question, because literally, thanks to Dr. Clyde Rivers, I am globally starting an initiative on that, which is, how to transition out of any phase in your life, through civility and just, practicing what we all should be practicing, treating individuals like you want to be treated. So thank you for that question, because I've really never shared that with anybody.
Thank you. I think everybody can nod their heads. We felt your vulnerability there, and I appreciate that, because that is something that is really, it's a hard thing to get other humans to understand, that if you really want to see and feel things, you got to find that space. And like you shared, it's not an easy space to go to, but when you get real and you get deep and you open up that vibration, you let everything come in, so that whether you believe in God or whatever, for me it's God, then I feel like he's like, okay, girl, you're open, you're ready. Now I can give you the magic.
Right.
And I wish more people could understand that. So thank you for sharing the depth of that.
Thank you for that question.
Thank you, Carrie. That was a fantastic question. I did see that Samara had one more question, if that's okay with you, Mr. Veney.
Oh, yes.
Okay, Samara, go ahead, honey.
Hi, okay, I'm just gonna get my question. I wrote it too. So I was just gonna ask you, Veney, thank you so much first off for the amazing speech, really, really real and kind of very truthful, so thank you. I wanted to ask, how do you inspire people that are too hardwired to think logically, and to inspire them to connect to their emotions? Because some people are just, I think it's very difficult, and it's kind of relating to this, but how can you inspire them to connect to their emotional side when you know that they have that, but they're maybe afraid, or maybe like it's just painful for them?
Again, Samara, thank you. Another great question. And again, I think it really just goes back to listening more than what you were actually saying. Trying to pull information, like you said, in order to pull those feelings out of individuals, sometimes you just have to let them talk, and those feelings will come out. And again, I didn't go to school for any of this. You know, over the course of 30 years, again, I've spoken and sat down with many younger Marines and senior Marines who were just going through serious life challenges, that because of the way we teach them in the Marine Corps, they feel they have to be so hard. So sometimes you just have to let them start talking, you know, about certain things. Why are they wanting to get to where they want to get? Find out the things that they want to have accomplished. And sometimes it may be something very, very small, like I talked about before. It might be something as simple as, you know, trying to inspire them to get their dream car without them bankrupting themselves doing it. What's going to inspire them to do it? It's really not the money, it's the different steps that they can take to make themselves better. And again, you know, I can only share my vulnerability with individuals that my experience has been that helps other individuals, you know, unlock their vulnerability. So I would say, again, even though I'm not school trained, you know, I think of myself sometimes as a psychologist. And I would say, again, just being open, honest, and vulnerable with individuals will sometimes let them open up with you, and, you know, show those emotions that some of us just hold so tight and so deep within ourselves. I hope that answered your question.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome. So thank you so much, Veney. I know I really enjoyed your talk, even though I was doing Miracle's hair and trying to do all this stuff. Well, I saw some other people doing the same thing, so that's okay. As long as we're still listening to the great information. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. And I know tomorrow we'll be back on here for another Power Hour with Miss Annie Koshi.
Yes.
And, so we are super excited to hear everything she has to say, this powerful woman. And again, if you enjoyed it, hey, share it with somebody that you think might need this information. The information Mr. Veney Cochran gave us today was fantastic, and everybody can use it in all aspects of their lives. So I am super, super excited. Thank you again. And I am gonna stop the recording. As you can see, my husband has left the building. And he only has because he has a set schedule. So we had other things coming up, but he was listening to you, and I'm sure he will be giving you a call soon so that you two can chat. And yes, he is, Mr. Veney is his favorite person in the world, and it is okay. Because of him, I get to have Obam in part of my life, and you guys get to share Obam as well. So thank you again, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.
Thank you all. Appreciate you all.